YTBC, what's the deal? To prove I'm great, I'm going to stop him in 8. Well, the body shots was too much. I told y'all, man, in my prediction video, I predicted this fight exactly how it was going to go. I knew it would be a mid to late stoppage. I knew that it wasn't so much the power of Golovkin. I was telling you guys before the fight, yes, his power is noticeable, and that's the first thing that we noticed, but it's his boxing ability, man. I'm telling you, this dude can box better than a lot of you guys think. Now, you might say, hey, he fought David Lemieux yesterday. One of the key ways to beat David Lemieux is to box him. But the thing is, Golovkin was able to do it. He didn't just stand there and just, go slugfest with David Lemieux. That jab, and Roy Jones actually pointed this out. I was thinking the same thing. That jab was landing like a power punch. I mean, it was snapping Lemieux's head back. I don't know if it was that funky ass haircut that he had, but anything that went by his face, even if he was moving away from the punch, his hair was always flying back. Kind of reminded me of what Paulo Malignaggi was doing with his hair a few years back. I don't know. He needs to trim that shit down, man. I know he's like a model or something, so that's for his look, his mystique or whatever, but it didn't give him no justice yesterday. Not that, it wasn't, I'm not blaming his fucking hair, but I'm just saying every time he got hit with a jab, it just seemed like his, he was getting harder than actually probably was because of his hair. But anyways, man, the body attack, I knew there was other things with Triple G that make him a good fighter. And I knew it was going to be his boxing ability. And that jab was just on point yesterday. It was powerful. He was snapping it. He would change the speed on it. And then the body shots, man, that face he made after, I know he went down. Good thing he didn't get disqualified, man. Roy Jones said something about that too. If you guys remember the first Montel Griffin fight when Roy Jones hit Montel when he was down, but Golovkin hit Lemieux harder than Roy swung at Griffin. And Lemieux just showed a dogged ass attitude yesterday. He really wanted it, man. He came into the fight very confident. Some people say borderline, cocky and overconfident, but he's just confident in his ability and his power. But and then during the fight, the commentary, the guy that gives the scorecard, I forgot his damn name, the old dude. I can't remember his name right now. Can't believe I can't remember it. But he was saying that he didn't think Lemieux had a game plan. I'm like, dude, he does have a game plan. It's just the jab, Triple G's jab is throwing him off his game plan. He thought Triple G was going to come out there and go hook for hook with him, which I knew he wasn't going to do. Like I told you guys, you can't be 345 wins with 5 losses in the amateurs without learning how to box. The amateurs isn't about KOs. Usually those fights always go to 3 or 4 rounds they're scheduled, so you have to box guys. And, he has very good boxing ability, man. The jab really surprised me, but the body shots was killing Lemieux. Lemieux did land some good hooks. I believe the fifth round, he landed a few good left hooks. And if that was against anybody else, they probably would have tasted the canvas or they would have backed up and gave Lemieux some respect. Triple G just kept coming forward. He just kept a jab on him. He kept pressure on Lemieux. Even not pressure with his hands, letting his hands go, but just pressure with a jab on him. Sometimes you can pressure guys just by keeping a jab on them. Like Zab Judah was the type of guy where you could pressure him and make him feel uncomfortable if you stayed in front of him, didn't give him time to breathe, and kept a jab on him and made him work. You can frustrate some guys like that. And Lemieux is one of those type of guys, along with Golovkin's power on top of that. It was an uphill battle for him pushing a damn 200-pound wheelbarrow up a hill. It was more than an uphill battle. But, you got to give Lemieux props just, for having the courage to even take this fight. He could have milked that IBF strap. He could have took that shit to Montreal and kept it hostage and would have never heard from it. That motherfucking title could have been MIA. But he wanted Golovkin, and he wanted to test, man, how great am I? I don't want to just milk this title and call myself champion. I want to really prove how great I am and how good this fucking Golovkin dude is. So I like Lemieux for that. He says he's going to be back. I think he's going to be back. I think, he'll give anybody a run. I can see him giving, if Saunders beats Lee or whoever wins that fight, I can see Lemieux giving them a run. I can see him giving Danny Jacobs or Peter Quillen a run. And then let's go to the 6th round. Then the 6th round happens. He landed another good shot on Triple G, a right hand. It just wasn't enough, man. It was like bringing a BB gun to a shootout with, 40 Glocks and AKs and, M16s. It just wasn't enough. What he was trying to do, it wasn't enough. And when he tried the box, he was so out of range because Golovkin's jab was keeping him way out of range. And then when he got close, he was getting roughed up. Golovkin was getting the better of him, because the closer you get, the easier a target you are to hit also. You lessen the distance and you get inside to land your shots, but you're also vulnerable to being hit. So that was like the flip side of it. It was like fighting in no man's land. And I was sitting there like, man, you're going to have to go for broke. I was watching with my wife. I'm like, man, this dude going to have to go for broke. All this trying to stay on the outside and boxing. That's not David Lemieux. That's just not the way he fights. That's not the best of him. The best of him is coming forward, trying to move his head to the best of his ability and just letting hooks go. And it just wasn't enough. But, you know, where do we go from here? Now, Golovkin, he has the IBO title, which I don't count. But he has the WBA. He has the IBF. He's the WBC interim. And we know that Saunders and Lee is the WBO champion. They're going to be fighting. So they say that, you know, Suleiman has said that the winner out of Canelo and Cotto will have to fight Triple G. There's no more playing around. There's no more pussyfooting. They're going to have to fight him. Okay. I want to see some unification go down, man. I would really like some unification to go down. And then we have, you know, Quillen and Jacobs. You know, I don't want to hear, you know, and this goes for all these guys. I don't want to hear no more that we don't know who Triple G is. So I've heard Quillen and I've heard Jacobs say they don't know who. No, not that they didn't know who he was, but that fight doesn't make sense. If one of those guys, you know, end up fighting him, I don't want to hear that the fight doesn't make sense anymore, because the dude just went to both of you guys' state that you claim, New York, and he just sold out the Garden. Not the small room, not the little room, the Garden, the main room. Damn near 21,000. That motherfucker looked like damn near a Knicks playoff series or something. That shit was jumping. That was like William Joppy Tito. You know what I mean? Cotto, Judah. I mean, any of the, you know, good Garden fights of the modern era, it was right there. As far as the excitement, as far as, you know, that crowd was jumping last night, man. I mean, he had that motherfuckers off the chain, and for good reason. So I don't want to hear that fight doesn't make sense, because it looked like it made sense last night to me. Looked like it made a hell of a sense. Now, some of you may say, oh, Roman Gonzalez brung in all those fans. He probably brung some fans, but yeah, that motherfucker would have still been about 18,000 deep if it wasn't for Roman Gonzalez. And it probably would have still sold the damn near 21,000. So Jacobs, Quillen, the winner of your fight, you're going to have to get, I mean, Triple G is going to have to be one of your top two targets, man. I understand the winner of Canelo, Cotto, and Saunders and Lee, but Triple G is going to have to be on your radar unless you plan on moving up. There's no more, oh, that doesn't financially make sense. It made sense at the Garden, man. I'm not saying you guys won't be able to duplicate at Barclays when you guys fight, but I don't know if the atmosphere is going to be like that. Hey, you know, you can use, I mean, the dude has his own pretty much venue in your state, MSG. No more of the bullshit, no more of the malarkey, no more of the shenanigans, no more of it, man. We know who Triple G is. And if you don't know, now you know. Now, I'm waiting for the winner of Cotto and Canelo. That's who I want to see Triple G fight next, or I like to see him. Andy Lee has said if he beats Saunders, he wants to fight Triple G to unify, to test his skills. So at least I know Andy Lee will want to fight him. Canelo, I think, will, and I think Suleiman and WBC will make the winner of that fight Triple G. For some reason, as much as I respect Miguel Cotto, and it's hard for me to say because I really respect him, man, as a fighter, his accomplishments, the way he fights, his style. But just recently, over the last 2 or 3 years, man, I know he's kind of changing up a little bit with his mindset as far as, you know, taking some fights, these catch weights, you know, and all this shit at the middleweight division. Canelo, I think, out of those two will be more willing to fight Triple G just at 160 and get it out the way with. But I could be wrong. You know, maybe Cotto goes in there and whoops Canelo and beats Triple G. I'm not, you know, anything can happen. But from what I seen yesterday, I want to see Triple G again. Props to Lemieux. I like to see him again too. YTBC, I'm out.